the mulligan is in fact underway.
Okay, so we have Warrior being brought from BoarControl, and I guess maybe we can assume that that would be Patron, but we obviously have no idea. This is going to be BoarControl running the Hunter first. You don't really get much out of it there, but given from his mulligan and the quick shot Mad Scientist and Ironbeak, you would assume this will be a variant of the Face Hunter.
Yeah.
And obviously you saw the secret there for Osha. He did play it last week. It is going to be that secret Paladin.
It looks like kind of more aggressive decks.
More aggressive. Sorry, that is actually the Blessing of Might, not the secret for sure.
Yeah, so it looks like both aggro decks here, and this is going to be a kind of a battle of the faces to place. I'm not really sure which is my favourite here. I mean, traditionally I would personally prefer to play Hunter in this matchup, but Paladin's been so strong recently, especially with the Nerubian Egg, can really make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely feel like the Hunter is super safe to pick up, especially for a first game of the day, kind of. Face Hunter there's not many like super bad matchups for it. It always feels like you've at least, unless it goes really badly at the start, it always feels like you're going to at least be able to threaten lethal at some point.
So this looks kind of mid-rangey from Osha, right? If you could have a look at his kind of hand. There has been a variant called the Genie Paladin that has come out recently that involved eggs and buffs, in the sense that you play your Genie and then you play your buffs on the egg, and obviously the Genie gets the reciprocated buff, and it has been pretty strong. So I'm maybe thinking that could be what it is, just based on the fact that he's got a very sort of set of mid-range cards stuck in his hand. I know that Keeper of Alderman can be used in those aggro decks, but Quartermaster strikes me as more of maybe going towards the mid-range, but it can just be obviously that aggro deck we could see coming up.
Well, I think it's kind of a mixture of aggro, mid-range, token kind of Paladin. It's kind of there just to try and beat everything. A solid little play there. It'll be interesting to see what the secret is, actually. That might tell us a little bit more about this deck. Whether he's going for the freezing trap or the explosive. It does look like he is going for the explosive trap, actually.
That was the...
which is not going to be great. He probably would have preferred a freezing trap here.
That was the worst of the three that he could have gotten there, by the way. Misha and Tuffer would have given him so much in terms of board control, but he gets the...
I absolutely love BoarControl's reactions. Every single time something happens, he's just like, it's like being at the theatre or something. He's just like diving around his room in horror at the sight of Leok, but it's going to be taken out by that Nerubian, and then Haunted Creeper can be played as well.
So he's got a pretty good idea that that's either explosive or bear trap here. I'm wondering whether BoarControl tries to just get rid of that Death Throttle ASAP, then obviously they become weaker to the explosives. You at least get the board clear. It's kind of a waste of your Unleash the Hounds, I guess, in some senses.
Or do you quick shot it?
Quick shot it, yeah, you can, yeah, that's for sure.
I was going to say, do you quick shot it and that just kind of, maybe just hero power here? Yeah, nice solid play. And it kind of forces the hand of Osha, really. Yeah. He's got to be. He knows that's explosive trap. Surely you wouldn't really expect the bear trap in this deck. I don't think.
One thing as well is, from what you've seen out of Osha from BoarControl's perspective, he doesn't know that this is kind of mid-rangey. He doesn't really know what to expect. It looks like aggro, so forcing that explosive trap definitely going to be in his favour. Nice little play with the Keeper of Alderman though. That's going to keep the Nerubian alive a little bit longer. Yeah,
I mean, he could have done it onto any of them and would have had obviously the same result from that. I'm just thinking, I mean, you could potentially go for the juggles here, but you're going to play right into Consecration. You obviously have to have some idea that the Paladin deck will likely be running at least one copy of Consecration. Most of them do.
Yeah.
So...
I don't think there's a different play.
Yeah, I mean, as a hunter, can you afford to play around Consecration?
And it looks like he is, though. I mean, he's just going for the hero power and pass.
I think he's trying to build the board up, right? He's trying to let Osha build the board up, and then he's going to go for a really big Unleash Knife Juggler.
And then you can use the Abusive on one of the hounds as well. Yeah. So you get a little bit of extra value if you use that on turn 6.
So Muster, coming into the top deck of Osha, does play into the hands of that Unleash Knife Juggler, but it doesn't look like he's going to play it. He doesn't want. He knows that possibility is there. You
have to be aware that post turn 5, Knife Juggler Unleash could be a thing, and I think this is a better play. He has to do it though, because he's going to be too reactive, I think, in a sense. That's Avenge, yeah.
Okay, so see where the knives hit. If he's going to get lucky on this one. He needs to... I mean, where do you do the Abusive? I guess you just go straight into the Nerubian. Yeah. You can actually clear the board right now. No, you can't, sorry. I can't do maths.
No, he's just one off.
Avenge as well.
The Avenge does come down.
He can clear either way, right? One of those either way, depending on where the Avenge went. And actually, the Avenge probably landing on the better target, yeah.
You think?
No, I think
the better for for BoarControl.
Yeah, because if he now if he wants to clear this Knife Juggler, he either has to use the Consecration or trade that 6-3 in. It's going to. I think the Consecration's the better play, right? BoarControl tells you exactly how he feels.
Yeah, he kind of feels like everything's going against him at the moment. But looking at the board, I don't really think he's got much way back into this, because obviously if he plays the Arcane Golem, he's giving just extra mana to Osha, and this board is starting to look quite tasty.
You just kill command the 6-3, I guess.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
He's obviously debating it here.
I think he's kind of considering maybe.
He's just going to go for the damage.
He's going to go for face. So
he's going for a race.
I mean,
here.
interesting decision, because there's already a 6-3 on the board for your opponent. You're only down to 13 health, but it is just about going to even up the health totals. And now it's the question of, do we see trading coming out right now from Osha, or does he just go for face?
I think he trades into. Yeah, wow. I mean, this, with the Justicar True Heart, I think you are correct, Dan, in the sense that this is very much a token paladin. That potentially even runs the Sea Giants in there as well. It's a deck that has a lot of variation. You know, you can play around with it. And he's actually going for the full trade here just to maintain that board pressure. Unleash would be pretty bad. He doesn't get Unleashed, though.
Yeah, the Owl really not going to be all too useful. It's looking pretty damn good for Osha right now. I'm not sure there's a whole lot that can be drawn. I mean, you can kill command the Quartermaster, but realistically, you still don't have anywhere near control of the board.
Let's have a look. He's got 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. So he's one. No, he's literally got lethal on board, right? If he doesn't kill command one of the minions.
Even if he did kill command the Quartermaster there, I think you're just delaying the inevitable, really.
It's one off lethal now.
I suppose it's kind of one of those where it's like, okay, so I'll get the 5 damage on face. Maybe I don't even know what. I don't think he could actually draw anything that would do that 6 damage this turn anyway. But
so what could win the game here for BoarControl? That doesn't.
Could have done
it. It would have to be quick shot.
It could have been quick shot. Yeah.
Kill command to the own face to kind of finish the game.
Osha also refusing to play any more minions on top of that, knowing that he had lethal next turn regardless, didn't want to play into a potential Unleash the Hounds lethal, which could have happened. So nice play by Osha. He had a really good start as well. Some RNG bad luck for BoarControl, as we're kind of getting used to as we get here through this series, but again, well played by Osha, to be honest.
That's the thing with Face Hunter, though. It's if the game does kind of go the other way against you, it does spiral out of control very quickly. You really need to get nice early presence, but he just couldn't get enough on board. And then, like I said, the Nerubian Egg just really made a difference there.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of, as Face Hunter, if you don't get the 1-drop, you actually lose so much tempo from not having a 1-drop on the board, just because you're then kind of fighting for board control as it goes further throughout the game. And as a Face Hunter, you don't want to fight for board control. But you're going up against a token paladin who is just going to flood the board very, very quickly. And there are, the couple of swing turns that you have to think about when you're playing against that matchup. The biggest one is getting a really good Knife Juggler Unleash, but Osha managed to play around that quite well and kind of forced the hand from BoarControl before his own board got big enough to make a really big Unleash the Hounds go wrong for him. So again, I think he controlled the state of the board very well, didn't overplay, didn't overcommit with the Unleash the Hounds being a real threat, and actually very nicely at turn 4 and 5 played around both the Explosive Trap and the Knife Juggler Unleash the Hounds combo with the 2 Keeper of Oldham turns that he had.
Yeah, I think it was very telling when early on in the game, BoarControl kind of, I think there was one of his turns where he kind of just hero powered instead of actually getting anything onto the board. He knew the Consecration was going to come out and had to play around that, but it's kind of, when you're playing that Face Hunter, you can't really afford to lose tempo in the game. You can't afford to fall that turn behind, because then it's so hard to claw yourself back into the game.
Yeah, he was just kind of banking on that board getting bigger so he could throw down the Knife Juggler, then unleash the Hounds. But it didn't really work out for him. And do you kind of queue it up again? Do you use the Hunter again just to try and get that win, because you know it's so good against pretty much anything if you get the right cards at the start?
It has pretty good matchups against pretty much everything, especially I think the Warlock, if it's Zoo Warlock and he gets the Defender of Argus early on, then it can be an issue. Or, he procs in his own egg very quickly, then starts going into sort of power overwhelming potential like burst lethal combos. But honestly, against the Warlock, if they're tapping early on, which most of them won't, you have a pretty okay matchup into the Warlock. We were assuming it's Zoo. We have no idea, obviously.
Yep.
And what was the other deck? It was Warrior?
Well, we can have a look at the decks. Let's bring up the versus screen for you guys, and we'll take a look at the remaining decks in this matchup between BoarControl and Osha. So Looks like obviously
Hunter.
that Paladin already won out, so it's going to be Hunter and Warlock remaining for Osha, and Hunter, Warlock, and Warrior remaining for BoarControl. So
yeah, I'm just assuming that it's Patron from BoarControl, given that he played it last week, and I know that he's such a seasoned Patron warrior, but
Isn't everyone?
Isn't everyone at this level? Yeah, I mean, everyone had that phase of being a seasoned Patron warrior, especially, you know, BoarControl right now, he was ranked 25 NA Legend this morning, so
Nice.
I know that's the deck that he spams on NA because he doesn't actually have the cards for anything else, so I know that he's obviously had a lot of practice, and I think grinding to sort of the high Legend ranks with that warrior, and he looks like he's dancing to some music now, trying to get back into the zone.
Having a little rave in his own house at the moment. But looks like they're both kind of considering these decks. They're not choosing anything quickly. It's not an easy choice. I think Osha's got to think about, is BoarControl going to queue up that Hunter again just to try and get the win on board, because he doesn't want to give away too much of the rest of his decks, as this game does look like it's about to start, and we will see what decks these guys are choosing.
Yeah,
Warlock versus Warlock.
Mulligan going to go underway. You're absolutely right. Warlock Mirror is going to be the answer, and I'm curious to see what kind of Warlocks these guys bring to the table, because obviously you've got kind of like your standard Zoo, which is a very, very safe deck in terms of...
yeah, neither of these are Zoo.
Nope.
I actually think that these could both be Reno Warlocks. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, looking at Osha's hand there, I think that confirms it's Reno Lock, whereas BoarControl's might be like a Demon Zoo.
Yeah, it's definitely Demon Zoo coming out, or Demon Lock kind of thing coming out from BoarControl, because I think we saw him ditch a Sludge Belcher, and then he got another Sludge Belcher back.
Yeah.
Whereas, given the brand Bronzebeard in there, the Shadow Flame, it's maybe leaning more towards the Reno Lock from Osha. But then again, also could be a form of Demon Zoo. You can see Bran and Voidcaller in a Demon Zoo, and actually BoarControl sees the tap on turn 2 and thinks this isn't Zoo.
Yeah, that tap will automatically make him assume it's either Reno Lock or maybe kind of a Demon Lock that he's playing at the moment as well. Dark Peddler off the top is a great top deck, but instead he's going to tap.
Yeah, and you can see the 2 Voidcallers in the hand of Osha now, showing you that it actually is also a Demon Zoo lock. So mirror matchup in a sense, maybe some tech card choice differences between the 2. Bran comes down instantaneously, and BoarControl's eyes, they give you a slight flicker as he's slightly surprised by the play.
Yeah, so you've got 2 decisions here. You either just Dark Bomb it and clear it, or you play the Peddler, hope for kind of a Soulfire or a Power Overwhelming. Unfortunately, nothing really comes down to help. So what's he going to coin out? He is going to coin out the Dark Bomb. Okay, that's fair enough.
We know that... sorry, Karen.
It's a super important card to get off the board. There's so much that brand can just like give you extra value on so many cards if you allow that to stay on. So
yeah,
can't say it's a play I disagree with.
100%. I mean, we know there were no immediate battle cry minions that he could make use of, and maybe he could have played the Defender of Argus. Yeah, but then you're kind of getting a slightly lowered value Defender of Argus just onto one target. Voidcaller.
Well, I mean, technically, you're still getting your full value.
Oh, yeah,
you're getting standard value.
But you feel a little bit wrong about playing it. Another Voidcaller comes out, so it's Voidcaller and Voidcaller.
And I am always absolutely terrified when there's a Voidcaller on there.
Me
I
too.
I just assume Mal'Ganis is in the hand of my opponent, but actually we see that there is actually only the Flame Imp from BoarControl, and there is another Voidcaller from Osha. So nothing too scary as yet, but it's kind of the question, do you kill it off early, assuming they don't have kind of a Mal'Ganis in there, or do you kind of take the risk and just be like, I'm going to leave it on board for a little bit longer and just hope they don't draw into it?
Yeah, you never really, unless you have an answer, you never really want to proc the Voidcaller on your turn, because it gives their summoned minion the chance to attack on their next turn, and it's just not something that you want to be doing. So it's a bit like the Sylvanas, right? You just avoid it for as long as possible unless you're going to know that you're going to have the answers for it, or you let them do it on their turn, because you know that if something is summoned from the hand, it's not going to have the immediate effect. Unless it's the Mal'Ganis and you have demons on board, obviously.
I think if BoarControl does decide to kill this Voidcaller, he's going to breathe a sigh of relief when he only sees another Voidcaller come out.
I don't even know if that's a sigh of relief in my books, though.
It's kind of just like, well, I'm in the exact same position as I was before, except it has more HP.
So is he thinking Chow plus Argus here?
Yeah, I think he wants to... he's going for a bluff in some senses. I think he's saying, I want you to think that I've got a big demon in my hand, but at least he gets some value off it with the Flame Imp not doing the 3 damage to face, essentially.
I think Belcher might have been
I would have
a solid play there.
Yeah, I actually would have preferred Belcher. I was thinking in my head, I think maybe Belcher would have been slightly better.
Just because, yes, okay, maybe he's bluffing that he's got a big demon, but the Belcher just kind of delays that. He knows he doesn't have a big demon in there, so just put that taunt on the board. The Flame Imp does come out of the Void Cooler as well.
If you played the Belcher right, you trade the lower Theb into the front half, and you trade the Void Core into the second half. They're both then below 3 HP. That kind of means that you get value out of Hellfire, especially since your board was so weak anyway. You Hellfire after attacking with your own Void Cooler, and then at least you get a Flame Imp on board to remain a little bit of board control. May have been my take on that there.
I think Shadow Flame is going to play a big part in this game.
For
kind
sure.
of just sitting in the hand of Osha at the moment. It's ready for a board clear whenever he wants it. But he is just dropping the Argus and then goes for a tap. Dark Peddler off the top.
He's going to be able to grab a nice little bit of healing from that Zombie Chow as well. Zombie Chow didn't really play that big of an influence early on in this game, but he's going to be able to get rid of that Void Caller while there are no demons in hand. I like that play because it's. I look at BoarControl, he's well happy about that. But the earlier you play that, the less cards have been drawn, the more chance you've got of getting away without.
Couple of options here for Osha as well. He can either own Therissian, which I think is pretty good, or he can Abusive Sergeant the Therissian, then play Big Game Hunter. Kind of plays into a Hellfire, like we can see is available. Or he just goes boom.
Do you risk your own Therissian though, like for the fact that you would then give perhaps another turn for BoarControl to use his Therissian to reduce his card cost by even more? That would be my only concern with that play. I think Dr. Boom's a solid play. I can't really argue with Dr. Boom on turn 7.
No, and actually I quite like the fact that BoarControl has just drawn as many cards as physically possible and is now going to do his best to attempt to protect his Therissian for yet another turn. He obviously could have traded Therissian into Boom and used Hellfire to get the full clear, but he just wants to make sure that he gets enough value out of his Therissian as physically possible.
He's just getting constant value out of this as well. I know I did say obviously playing his own Therissian would have left it on board, but obviously Dr. Boom did as well. But really, did he have a decent way of dealing with it that's mana efficient? I'm not so sure. So the longer it stays on board, the more painful this is going to actually get for Osha.
Yeah, we know there aren't exactly the most ridiculously influential cards in BoarControl's hand. If he gets a 0 mana Bran Bronzebeard though, that's pretty good.
I mean, 0 mana, pretty much anything.
Yeah.
If you can get 3 times your Therissian, that's kind of it can really make a difference. You just want to see a demon being drawn. He's going to be looking for that Mal'Ganis, right? Because he's got that Void Cooler in hand, but at the moment, there's nothing really to do with it.
BoarControl is praying to the RNG gods that this bomb does not do 3 or more damage to his Therissian. Soulfire in hand for Osha. He can confirm the kill.
It's kind of risky though as well, because I mean you've got Shadow Flame you don't want to get rid of, Big Game Hunter, Thorazane. There's a lot to lose using this Soulfire. And it's going to be Shadow Flame. We said that it was going to be a big card in this matchup, and actually loses out on that one.
Hellfire
big
BGH. Hellfire into Big Game Hunter.
Hellfire into Big Game Hunter. It's pretty much the only play, right? And then you can also play your Void Caller after if you want to. You know that Shadow Flame's just gone.
Or you could play Bran into Dark Peddler and draw 2 cards.
Yes, that's very true as well, yeah.
And that's completely turned the game around. Not the best of choices.
No.
I don't mind Dragon Egg, though. Or Clockwork Gnome. Both of those are okay. Dragon Egg if you think you want to play around some AoE. Clockwork Gnome if you want to make use of the spare part that you get.
The double shot coming out from the PGH. Double barrel shotgun coming out.
Opts for the Clockwork Gnome over the Blood Imp. I would have... okay, no, I was going to say I would have liked the Blood Imp coming out because it might have given...
Hellfire wrecks you, though, right?
Hellfire. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Actually, I think BoarControl's in a good position here. I mean, the Shadow Flame was potentially one of the worst cards that Osha could have lost from the hand. Oh, Dark Bomb's good.
Dark Bomb. So now he can just trade in the Gnome quite comfortably.
Yeah, exactly.
He can even heal if he wants to, just for kind of the safety, no power overwhelming, plays anything crazy like that. Just,
I mean, we don't know if these guys are running some form of combo in their deck, do we?
It's true. They might be running the Arcane Golem combo. I don't know if they would be.
It doesn't seem something that you would potentially run in a traditional team, and that's Bran Bronzebeard with Literally 16 health back there to BoarControl, but giving right up to 30. And he picks up a very handy spare part, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, at least in my opinion, it's one of the best spare parts, just because it's free stall, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
whatever you don't want to deal with, just get rid of it for a turn.
Now, I think Doomguard's unplayable here, right, for Osha, at least at the very least. I don't mind Sylvanas, but then you have to be wary of the fact that you could potentially die next turn.
Yeah, it's pretty much a dead card when it does throw away 2 more of your cards, and he's already had bad luck throwing away the...
I mean, Shadow Flame's gone, right? You could just coolant Sylvanas, and like Munchable said, just ignore it for a turn.
Yeah. Just like people do with all their real-life problems. Just delay it and hope it goes away.
Just freeze them. Just emergency coolant all of your real-life problems.
Yeah.
So Sludge Belcher, I think, is a nice top deck, really. A nice solid minion to play onto this board. If the Void Caller does come down, obviously you've got the Imp Gang Boss and the Blood Imp now that could be drawn out of it, but still not the kind of things you want to be drawn. You kind of want a Doomguard, or you want a Mal'Ganis. He's just going to is he opting to go face here?
I think he'll trade into the 2/2. Like you say, maybe play Sludge Belcher and the Void Caller.
So is he playing around Hellfire there, do you think? By not trading the Bran in?
Yeah, you actually probably want to keep your Bran as healthy as you physically can, right?
The consideration there of playing out both gang bosses, obviously, with the Hellfire in play as well, that would just simply spawn 2 imps and neither of them go down.
And Osha is digging here, but he's not really finding much that helps.
Might be digging a grave at this point with how much damage is on the board.
He needs to play Sludge Belcher for sure. And then maybe he Dark Bombs, the 3/2.
Interesting they didn't opt to Dark Bomb and Mortal Coil Bran Bronzebeard there.
Well, another Big Game Hunter. This is a double Big Game Hunter deck coming in from BoarControl.
And it has gone in and out of the meta, the double Big Game Hunter, especially when you come up against like Ramp Druid and Demon Handlock, sorry. So I can understand the inclusion. I'm not sure it's going to play a part in this matchup now, but if a Mal'Ganis suddenly dropped,
do you Mortal Coil your own Blood Imp here for the draw? Because you can't make use out of it this turn.
Is there any need?
No, I mean, there's probably no need. I mean, you could probably Mortal Coil your own... I know you can't now. I was going to say that there is some argument for Mortal Coiling something this turn just to keep trying to dig because you're so close to lethal and you're probably looking for something like a Power Overwhelming. But there is Antique Healbot now in the hand, and there is the Mal'Ganis too.
Well, I did say Big Game Hunter might not play a part in it, but Mal'Ganis is looking like it's ready for the gun.
For sure. The issue for Osha is that both of his...
Wow.
Oh, wow.
The silence off the top is huge.
And there's a big demon to come through from the Void Caller as well.
Do you want Jiraxxus to come onto your board?
If you get Defender, for sure.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
The silence coming on to Sylvanas is a pretty obvious play.
Oh, and he gets the value out of the Mortal Coil now as well.
That's basically kind of like, even if I lose control of this game now, I can still kind of level the playing field once more, but I'm going to get that Void Caller onto Jiraxxus. And that
so
is, honestly, this is looking pretty dicey right now for Osha.
I think BoarControl wasn't keen for the Jiraxxus to come out, otherwise he would have just played the Imp Gang boss first.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe he wanted to keep it as a backup plan, but I mean, it's 315 on board, you can't really complain about that too much.
So as Osha now, do you Hellfire?
Ooh.
I don't think it helps you that much though, right? You're literally not negating any damage because you're just going to spawn 2 more imps, which makes up for the 2 damage of the Bran Bronzebeard.
And you're reducing yourself down to 11.
You have to Mal'Ganis here.
Yeah, but the Big Game Hunter is going to take that down.
We already know there's a Big Game. Maybe this is just a simple matter of
5, 7, 9, 10, 11. No, not quite.
You get the double. You get the +2/+2, right? So that's 4 damage plus everything that he has on board.
So it's 13.
13. So 1 off lethal. Yeah.
But he's going to do it anyway, and that's well. There's not really any coming back into
17 taunt on the board.
That's why you have the Jiraxis onto board with the Defender of Argus. That's why it's so powerful. And then it's Concede comes through from Osha. BoarControl picks up his first win of the ESL Premiership.
And you can see what it means to him as well. Kind of a little cheer at home.
Yeah.
His mum's probably watching. He's like, "Come on, mum."
I think he's at his nan's actually.
Even though his nan's
It's a family game, Hearthstone. Everyone's getting involved. But congratulations to BoarControl. That's 1-1 now in this series between him and Osha. And definitely an interesting matchup, that kind of mirror Warlock that we saw come out. And then the 517 Jiraxis, I'm really not surprised to see the concede at that point. I mean, imagine on ladder you see that Jiraxis come out, you're kind of like, this is done. This is over. What do you even do? How do you clear that unless you got silence?
I don't know. Maybe.
And even then, you can't get rid of it off the board.
Well, let's think about the highest health minion apart from another Jiraxis or attack minion. So maybe you get like Mal'Ganis. It survives a turn, you double power overwhelming, and then you have to Shadow Flame it. Like that's one of the only ways you can probably.
But he doesn't even have a Shadow Flame because he got rid of it.
From the Soulfire.
Well, I think that was the game changer. Yeah, we said Shadow Flame's going to play a massive part in this game.
Let's be fair. You said Shadow Flame was going to play a massive part. Don't take credit away from yourself, Dan. That was a good call.
I mean, Emperor could have gone as well, and that would have been a big moment. But the fact that Shadow Flame went, it just meant his board clear was completely gone, and BoarControl really just started to run away with the game from that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we are going to be moving into the third game of the series. This is kind of the point where, at least for me, this gets interesting on what heroes these guys decide to pick. Let's bring up our versus screen once more, and we'll see what heroes are remaining for these two guys. But obviously, you've still got the Warlock available for Osha. He didn't manage to get the victory on that one. Do you reckon he just plays that same deck again? It's gonna. The issue now is BoarControl already knows what that is. And
I actually think the matchup between Face Hunter and Demon Warlock can be very swingy. It really depends whether you get that Mal'Ganis early in hand. Void Cooler Mal'Ganis can be huge against the Face Hunter because they have to expend so many resources to get through it. But honestly, because of the amount of tapping that most Demon Warlocks like to do, acts a little bit like a handlock in some situations. I think Face Hunter's a pretty good matchup into it. It's
just if you get that kind of Bran into Healbot, that can really hurt you as a Face Hunter. But I mean, that's a turn 8 play.
Turn 8 play.
And if you've survived to turn 8 against a Face Hunter, then usually you're in pretty good shape. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see a Hunter versus Hunter come down here.
Because it comes down to that sort of 50-50. You're mainly playing around traps in the Hunter versus Hunter matchup. You want to make sure that if the explosive trap goes down early, you have to be able to play around. We're going to go straight into the matchup here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mulligan going to be beginning. It is going to be the Hunter versus Warlock that we were just discussing. So we'll see how much of this early tapping that we just discussed we see come into play. So these are the starting Mulligans.
Oh, that's two really good.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a good early Mulligan for Osha.
Crossed fingers.
Oh no, and BoarControl is unhappy, but I don't think that's an awful Mulligan for him. If he can draw, I don't think that's bad.
It's not bad, but it's not great. He ideally would have loved a Leper Gnome to come off the top.
Like we said last time, turn 1 plays are so important.
It really is, especially when you can just respond. When your opponent responds with a Zombie Chow and you're a Face Hunter, you are really shaking in your boots.
For sure. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see the Silence come down here.
Onto the...
Yes.
Yep. So great. And having the Hellfire in board as a board clear and the Healbot turn 5. I mean, he's also got the Bran Healbot combo now if he needs it. So this is a really solid mulligan for Osha. And I think BoarControl is just going to be trying to get board control for this whole game. And I think there's going to be a response from Osha pretty much every time.
I think you just play Bran here because then you can, at some point, if it's not dealt with, just play that Healbot. And it's going to come down.
Yeah, I think the tempo play is probably wise there.
And that's the Leper Gnome that he needed those turns ago.
3 turns too late.
I mean, what do you do? Just Scientist and Glaive Zuka?
I tend to like...
The thing is, what do you achieve if you get the Glaive Zuka on? You get the attack on the Scientist, but you still can't kill Bran with it alone. You still have to hit with a weapon as well. That's kind of... It feels like a waste of the extra attack.
Yeah, I tend to like to use Glaive Zuka when you know you can trade. You've got something on board and they're not expecting that trade to happen, and then you use the Glaive Zuka to buff the damage.
I mean, are you worried about killing Bran this turn because the Warlock's at 28 life?
No, I mean, the Healbot's not really going to make much of a difference.
We're not going to have it.
You're only scared of a Dark Peddler, perhaps. That's your only real worry right now.
Well, that's going to be just a free bit of card draw. Going to be more than happy to pay that 2 life for that.
So we've already seen the explosive trap out of BoarControl. I wonder what secret we'll see now. Oh, he decides just to go face. He says, actually, let's have a race here. I'm not going to give you a free secret just yet.
I think here the only play is Haunted Creeper, kill command, and then just trade in with your scientists. Everything else kind of sucks, right?
Yeah, and even that play sucks.
Yeah, and even that play sucks.
Not it's a wrong play. It's completely right, but it feels bad.
It's the lesser of the evils, certainly. I mean, at least you get the secret on board. Let's take a look. I think it's a snake trap. Okay, so
he would probably like to see a juggler come around, but with that attack, Osha will now know it is more than, well, it's 100% snake trap.
He's got the tools in hand to deal with the snake trap too, so you know he could even just dark bomb this 1-2, or you know next turn trade into it and then use the Hellfire if you just need to clear the board. Double Glaive Zuka feels awful for BoarControl right now.
He's just not getting the draws, similar to the first game really, but he's going to continue pushing some face damage, not knowing the anti-heal bot is in the hands of Osha, which is really going to be, it's probably going to be the game winner. In fact, I think
it's at minimum it's going to be a kick in the teeth. Yeah, that's for sure. It definitely feels like I was about to say BoarControl's running out of steam. It didn't really feel like he had any steam to begin with in this game.
His train did not start.
No.
I think he's going to be reluctant to play that Arcane Golem. He's not going to want to give extra mana.
If you think about, he's got the choice of Power Overwhelming, Mortal Coil, or Corruption. He takes the Power Overwhelming. I think the choice between that and Mortal Corruption both are pretty good choices. But given the fact he's got a really strong board, he knows that BoarControl isn't going to clear. He can then just go face and race him at this point.
Yeah, definitely when you're in this kind of position with so many more cards than your opponent as well, it doesn't really necessarily matter what kind of deck you're running. You just want to look for burst damage, because especially when you know you're against the face hunter, they aren't going to have an answer for your board.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of damage in one turn from BoarControl there.
18 damage. Is that lethal? No, he's 1 mana off lethal.
He's got 5, 7, 9, 11, 15.
If he had 1 more mana, he could Dark Bomb.
He's 2 off lethal. He's 2 damage off lethal.
Yeah.
He has to
heal
play
bot.
Board. Oh yeah.
Just Healbot go face, and you've got the damage there waiting for you next turn. Really, I mean, as a face hunter, I'm usually like, okay, yeah, let's race. All my cards are going to do face damage, but he wouldn't really be expecting the
so you're hoping for Unleash the Hounds here, right?
What did you say?
There it is.
I don't know if that's lethal though. Just to check, he's got 5. He can play everything, so he can, including his hero power. That's 5, 7,
17.
11,
16.
That's not because he can't clear.
Because
he hasn't got the space to put down the Arcane Golem as well. So if he runs one of the hounds in,
yeah, he runs one of the hounds
damage.
in. So I think this is 5, 7.
Yeah, I think if he runs one in, I think
it's lethal. Yeah.
Oh, of course,
yeah,
the hero power comes in as well. So yeah,
and
that's
Kiernan
lethal.
wishing the top deck of dreams to BoarControl there.
I literally was just saying I don't think he had any steam to begin with. This game's over, yada yada yada, and then immediately just.
I'm sorry, Osha. I called it, and it's horrible. I called it for you, and you get killed to the top deck. Unleash the Hounds.
And that's literally the only card that could have won.
The only card that could have won in the game.
That is a painful defeat for Osha right there. That cannot feel good. BoarControl going to be very happy with that one.
Actually, could Kill Command have won in the game as well? I think Kill Command actually would have been 1 over lethal, right? Because he had the Haunted Creeper on board, so that's 5 from the Haunted Creeper and the minion. He's got 2 from the weapon. He's got 2 from.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way to think about it is like both of them give you +5 damage. So either way, it's
so
still.
He had lethal. He actually only needed 4 of those 5 damage.
I forgot the Creeper was on board for the beast. Yeah, so yeah.
Well. I think Osha made the mistake of potentially not clearing board here.
And that's what you said. You said I think he's got to clear here.
The issue there, though, is you've still got to deal with those snakes. There was a snake trap in place.
But you had Hellfire, right? So you.
That's true. Yeah.
You could at least proc the Divine Shield, try and make it favourable so you maintain board after Hellfire. Then you just Hellfire.
But I mean, then even Hellfiring, you're then reducing your own health, and you just feel bad doing that against
actually,
the hunter.
Even if he'd Hellfired, he was on 9, right? So if he'd Hellfired, that had taken him down to 6. With the hero power and the Arcane Golem, that would have been lethal anyway. So regardless of what happened here, given that top deck,
I'm honestly shocked that was a victory for BoarControl.
Welcome to Face Hunter, my friend.
Like that was going to be the way, but I mean, fair play to BoarControl. He gets a beautiful little top deck there, and is going to take the second game, or the third game in the series, second game for him. It's now 2-1 in this best of 5, and they only have one deck remaining, and by the looks of things, it's going to be Grim Patron for BoarControl. That was, or at least that's the deck he played last week, and it is still Warrior for him.
That's our prediction. We don't know for sure. It's just because I know BoarControl quite well as a friend, and I know that he just loves Patron, and I know that he's played post-nerf Patron a lot. The only other types of warriors that we'll likely see on sort of competitive play is just Control Warrior, and sometimes in a blue moon you might see a Reno Warrior. I've seen a couple of face warriors, but they're kind of cheesy. You'll
just see them in ladder every now and then. I've never seen them competitive.
BoarControl played Mech Warrior for a bit, but that was again just cheese to try and get yourself up in the ladder to get towards the, sort of the higher ranks. But realistically, when you're talking competitive, the only real competitive deck for Warrior right now is Control or Patron, and usually you see Patron.
Absolutely. Well, the mulligan is underway, and it looks like this Demon Warlock is going to be the call again for Osha. So 3 games in a row right now.
And it is
going to be the Patron Warrior.
It's the same deck he was running last night with the Corkron Elite.
Corkron Elite is going to come into play. Not the greatest of mulligans I've ever seen coming out for BoarControl right now. He's going to be struggling for the first couple of turns.
Well, I mean,
you can slam for free next turn, right?
You say it's not the greatest, but you've got your Grim Patron, you've got your Death Spite, and you've got your Inner Rage. That is 3 of the key ingredients to winning as a Grim Patron warrior.
So we see the Shadow Flame in hand already for Osha.
Oh, wow.
Fiery Warrocks at the top is great here. Now, there's 2 plays, right? You Fiery Warrocks now, because you could coin out the Death Spite, right? Couldn't you? And then
set it up for proccing the...
Set it up. No, actually, you can do that anyway. You can do that 10-4 anyway.
You're sort of too early for that, really, I feel.
Yeah.
Unstable Ghoul helps as well.
Well, you can just slam and deal with this straight away.
Yeah, then
you could
coin
Unstable
Ghoul, yeah.
Whirlwind in the hand as well. All the tools are there now.
This is to look really, really scary. If he can make this combo work. Let's take a look at the hand of Osha right now. What kind of answers he has available? Because, I mean you've got Lothar next turn.
Shadow Flame is an instant answer to a Grim Patron warrior. However, he doesn't really have any minions of 3 health that he can play straight away, except the anti-kill bot, and he's not going to waste that.
BoarControl already hovering over his answer to this. He has the... Do you even potentially think about coining out Finley Mergleton, hoping for that Mage Hero power? Or do you save the coin for next turn when you want to potentially coin Whirlwind on the patrons?
I was going to say, you Patron Inner Rage, coin Whirlwind.
But it's fine because he can coin Whirlwind, right?
Yep. So that will clear 2 of the 3 minions.
Okay, let's
but then will the Shadow Flame on the Argos help at all? With Dark Bomb, is there any way of clearing it?
No, because you will have... You'll always have 1 patron remaining.
Yeah, so if he Dark Bombs the 3/3 that's left, all the rest 2 health?
No, right? Because you now get 2 out here, you're going to spin, you'll get 2 3/3s new from the Whirlwind, so you'll always have 2 undamaged patrons. Which is going to mean that you then deal 2 damage to one of those undamaged patrons, which means you'll end up with 2 patrons. So there's no way, as far as we can see, unless he draws a Hellfire. And he's going to Inner Rage to make sure that there is no chance of that happening anyway.
Well, this is definitely not what you want to see.
That's a great play.
Right now.
Hellfire off the top!
I was literally just saying this is not what you want to see, and then literally the perfect answer comes out of his deck. Even going to be able to get a tap off first, just see what he does manage to find. And
I mean, Osha
is going to ruin everything.
Osha was cursing his luck seeing all those patrons come onto board, but now BoarControl is unfortunately on the back foot again.
I'm ruining everyone's days with these calls. I think you go for the life tap. Life tap's probably the best. Or you can take Steady Shot if you're trying to go for the race.
Yeah, I think you have to life tap here. As a Patron Warrior, you're not really worried about damage coming to your face straight away. You just kind of want to get those cards. You want to get those tools, those instruments to put the patrons on board once again.
Oh, the hand from Osha is looking great, though. He's got the Antique Heal Bot. He's got Mal'Ganis and Jaraxxus in hand. And even Dark Bombs to stop any shenanigans. That's a great top deck, though.
Yeah, fantastic answer for turn 7 right now, and it is going to mean that it's kind of just like a turn that you don't have to worry about when you've got that Dr. Boom for turn 7. It's kind of just like, okay, well, we'll work out what my combos are later. We'll work out how we're going to find another Grim Patron in the future, because right now we can just drop this down, and it's a lot of the time, Dr. Boom just feels like instant board control. It's like the ultimate answer to, I don't have many minions.
And we see that there isn't the BGH in hand. Sylvanas will come down here. I'm wondering, do you just kind of flood the board as best as possible and then go for it? I mean, actually,
Well,
even
he's got
with
what, 17 damage here.
yeah.
So that's another
he
8.
He could
potentially have
he
lethal
could
if he
potentially have
risks
lethal
the bombs.
with the bombs. Do you just risk it at this point?
I think you risk it for a chocolate biscuit.
Oh, here we go. We'll see whether he's going to be able to.
He's not going to.
Roll
Okay, he's
high.
not going to go for the risk.
There is the
Well,
heal
I mean,
bot.
3 HP remaining. Yeah, as you say, heal bot is going to be there, but will that 8 health even save him at this point? He's not got a whole lot of mana to play with. The Shadow Flame is available, though.
He's going to
I mean, do you Shadow Flame onto... The problem is you have to kind of wipe out your own board to use the Shadow Flame. But this is going to guarantee the boom comes over.
He will steal the 7-2. And there isn't the tools for lethal for BoarControl.
That might have sealed the game, to be honest. You can
So-
eat the Jiraxes just to get yourself back up to 15.
So you can unstable Ghoul right and search for something. But what can you search for? What's going to do more than 4 damage?
In theory, no, he's used too many cards now. I was going to say
Yeah.
he could draw a Cochrane Elite
But
and
it's
an
still
Inner
a-
Rage,
Yes, that's very
but
good.
now he's not going to have the mana to do that. The Execute can come down onto the Dr. Boom.
Yeah. I think he's at very least in the game still for this turn. Now the question is, do you trade this Void Caller just to see which demon comes out?
It's too risky, right? I think do you just play Jiraxis at this point, or do you just Dark Bomb and then Lower Theb, try and seal out the game?
I would like kind of Jiraxis and then run it in, because now, yeah.
He can
If he had done
Defender of
that,
Argus, right? He's got Defender of Argus too for next turn.
Yeah.
We've got
That's-
that
I mean-
terrifying Jiraxes that we talked about.
I think either play probably going to win you the game. But I say probably. Because he could just drop Mal'Ganis now, and then that Jiraxis becomes, what, a 5/17? Do they get +2/+2? Or +3/+3?
It'll become a 4/16 because he's got no brown on the field, right?
It's just +1/+1 to all demons from Mal'Ganis.
Oh, Mal'Ganis is
From
plus,
Mal'Ganis, yeah.
plus 3 to +3, right?
Yeah.
And he got Execute off the top, so that's really, really, really good for BoarControl. Do we know if he runs Gromash? Because this is a real key thing to taking out the...
Doomguard off the top.
Yeah, but you don't want to play Doomguard. Look at your hand. There's no way you want
I
to
was
play
trying
Doomguard.
to think if there was a way to get past the taunt and still, but there isn't.
Do you just Lower Theb and Defender of
Lower
Argus?
Argus, yeah. I feel like that's kind of the...
You don't tap, right? I guess you could tap, but... If you tap yourself into lethal, basically. Or you're thinking you're tapping yourself into lethal,
Yeah.
so you have to Lower Theb Defender of Argus here.
I'm starting to think the Jiraxis and then trading and getting the Mal'Ganis on board might have been the better play earlier from Osha.
Yeah, I just think it was too risky to run the 50-50 chance of potentially winning the game to
Yeah.
50-50 chance of not winning the game. I mean, BoarControl got a great top deck in the form of that Execute, but he played it with the Battle Rages, so he knew he was giving himself the chance.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Lower
see.
Theb plus Argus.
Yeah, so... At least keeps you in the game for a little while,
I'm
in
trying
theory.
to wonder, is he actually dead? He is, right? With Slam? 7 mana... No. Forgive me,
quite.
but you still got to get through the Slime.
Yeah. I mean, you can even just play the
I wouldn't mind playing an
Armor
Armor
Smiths
Smith,
right
yeah.
now.
Armor Smiths.
You're going
Possibly
to be
both.
taking health. You're on 7 right now. You need to kind of be careful. And actually, there's a Doomguard in hand right now for Osha. If he's not careful, if he doesn't go for the Armor Smith, there is a lot of potential damage next turn.
I think he has to Armor Smith, right? You trade one of your 3/2s into Lower Theb, then you trade one of your 3/3s into the 2/1, and then...
At the tap.
Oh, the Inner Rage is great as well.
Yeah, double Armor Smith.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I think you had to. You got to get as much health or armor as such as you can. Just kind of run these armors, these group patrons in. Unfortunately, you can't use the inner rage because of the lower third before, but you can generate another patron from the slime.
And he gets the entire bulk. This is the great thing about Patron. He's put himself all the way up to 13 health.
It's a fantastic feeling, isn't it? When you
Osha's
just
dead
off
here, right?
trading, you get an extra 3/3 and 2 extra HP. It's
But his only hope is to play Mal'Ganis, but I think even Mal'Ganis
Even
gets
with
cleared.
Mal'Ganis, you're dead, right? He probably doesn't know that, but
you just
yeah.
simply slam. You can even just run
And
it.
the core
well,
yeah.
that seals the deal, doesn't it? That is going to be the slam.
Which will be the series for BoarControl.
It will indeed. 3-1 victory for BoarControl. We saw, obviously, last week didn't have the same kind of luck up against Hello Leroy, who managed to get the 3-0 victory. But this week, everything's sort of changed up for BoarControl. He's had a couple of victories that honestly didn't necessarily feel that...
And Osha's just straight hang up. He said, I am not
Osha's-
sticking
he's
around.
He's
done.
Confirmed
He is
mad.
done right there.
Dunzo. But there you go. That is going to be the series going over to BoarControl 3-1 after, honestly, a couple of those games definitely felt like